What is up, Mullet Gang? It is your favorite neuro-edgy duo, ready to empower the fuck out of you.
Are you ready to break free from the chains of neurotypical expectations?
Hey guys, welcome back. This is the Mullet Gang, and I'm Amy.
I'm Susie, and we are ready to party.
Party. So this is episode 9, Help is on the Way. And this is a continuation of our new series, ADHD and Thriving, Women Unleashed.
Yes, we are still talking with Esmeralda as she starts to tell us a little bit more about her business, which we find super fascinating because who doesn't want someone to come in and just organize their closet / their life? I mean, I've been through this a couple of times, I've moved around a lot in my 20s, and there are just times where I get so overwhelmed, I just throw everything in a box, and that box just lives in the attic or in the garage, or, sometimes I just ghost the box. I just say, "Hey, box, see you later." But I know other people that have lived through this before, where sometimes for emotional reasons, they can't seem to get a handle on cleaning up their closet or taking things out, decluttering. I think sometimes we're stuck in this energetic kind of, I don't even know, like maze, and it's just draining. And for somebody with ADHD, you have so many thoughts and feelings, and sometimes some of those thoughts can be so hard to move past that you just let it sit there. So I think the services that she provides can really help a lot of people who are listening to this episode and think, wow, this is me. This is what I'm going through at the moment.
Yeah. And I think that's what's so unique about her business. Like, she is a professional organizer with ADHD. So she's not going to come in and give you all these like neurotypical expectations that don't work for us. Like, she gets it. Like, she lives with us every day. So she has that like compassion and empathy and understanding of how executive dysfunction works and how these things are so hard for us. So she can come in and kind of sit with people and walk them through the process, not just physically, but also emotionally, and kind of break things down into those really small steps, which I think is so effective for us.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think too, talking about like the reward in doing all this, I think the number one reward, all jokes aside, is that you feel better. You're not stuck in this negativity, this drowning feeling, which can happen when your life is so unruly or you're so unorganized.
Yeah.
I've been through this many times. But the rewards can be also satisfying as far as like giving yourself some me time, going out and shopping for the things you're replacing that no longer serve you, or even just having more space. I think that feels good to me. I remember decluttering an old room one time, and the fact that it wasn't just filled with junk anymore felt so good. And then I got to redecorate. So, hey.
Yeah. You can repurpose the space and utilize it differently. And I think it's one of those paradox where we don't like clutter. It creates anxiety and stress because we already have so much mental clutter, but then we create the clutter because we get overwhelmed and we don't know what to do with all the shit. So just being able to approach it that way, like, hey, I need help. This is overwhelming, but there are a lot of tools and hacks that we can learn to make it more efficient and just easier to keep up with.
Well, really excited to share this with you guys. We found Esmeralda to be such an inspiration, and we were so excited to have her on here as part of our ADHD and Thriving Women Unleashed.
Yes, and I cannot wait to carry this series through and bring on more women and learn more about their stories. I think this is opening up so many doors to just connect and, really showcase women thriving with ADHD.
And where can they find Esmeralda?
So on Instagram, she's at the Neurospicy Mom, and then Get Neat Now is her business handle.
Awesome. Well, enjoy, you guys. And we can't wait for what's next.
Whoop, whoop.
And so the fact that you're local and you have ADHD, you're a mom, you can relate to so much of our content. Mm-hmm. And I know you're also a business owner, and that's huge for us because we know so many of us ADHDers end up as entrepreneurs because of how our brain works. Susie and I.
We can't follow the rules.
Yeah, we're entrepreneurs. Yeah. We like to kind of create our own rules, write our own structure and system.
Yep.
So how did you get into your current business? Tell us about it.
So I have a professional organizing business, and it's about a year and a half since I started it. So February will be 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So I quit my job and I just went straight into organizing because I was like, oh, this is something I could do. I looked into it, and I just wanted to be there with my kids and also find something that I could do to make money. And I started telling everybody I was an organizer. Mind you, I've always organized my house like since the very beginning. Like I've always loved to rearrange things and make things functional. So it was already something I enjoyed doing and I was good at it. So I started it, and from there on, like more and more people started, wanting my services. And then I realized that the majority of them were like very, very disorganized in like multiple parts of their life. And like with paperwork or with certain things, and they would have piles. So I could kind of detect like, okay, these people have ADHD and then these people don't. And then I went home and I realized that I had small little piles too.
Dooms, right?
Dooms piles, but my piles go away.
Okay.
Like
You figured it out.
I figured a way out to get rid of the doom piles.
Okay, so what's the
So you just separate the doom piles in categories.
okay?
So when you do your paperwork, you have your doom piles and you're just setting paperwork.
You get really excited about this. I love it. Okay, it's good. No. Wait, I get it. Like I'm visual. Yeah.
So these are just little hacks that I have
Okay.
for ADHD people.
It's like art.
It's like art. I created. Like, I don't know.
I like it.
So like you
Okay.
create piles, right? So the doom piles have piles. So you have piles of clothes, piles of everything has a doom pile. But within the doom pile, there's more smaller little increments where you can kind of like microdose. That's not the word.
Your belongings.
Yeah.
I wish I was microdosing.
So yeah. So like, let's say paperwork.
Okay, yeah.
Like the first thing I do when
A
I have
micro
paperwork-
pile.
micro piles
Okay.
of paperwork and categories.
Hashtag micro pile.
So when
Okay.
you actually have the ability to complete the task, it's not overwhelming. You can just grab a pile. It's not grabbing the whole amount.
What does a micro pile look like for some people? I'm actually really interested. I'm like, tell me more.
Micro pile could be toys,
Okay.
like or
Kids' toys.
It could be everything.
Okay.
So the way that we have to organize is not just like the whole task. Like it has to be micro. Like for my laundry, for example, what I do is I take a day and I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the laundry today. Is it going to get finished today? Probably not, because I don't put that expectation that it has to be done that same day. I just separate the days and the times.
Okay.
So then I'm like, okay, now I have to put it in the dryer today. And I just leave it there until I feel the energy and the burst to, okay, next day, all right, I'm going to go and separate the clothes.
This is your laundry hack now.
This is my
I like
laundry
this
hack.
one.
So then I
Okay.
go and then I do something else. I do another task that's not overwhelming. And then I go back into, okay, now I'm going to separate my underwear and my bras. And that's the task I'm going to do.
Right.
And after that, I get burnt out. So I go and I get up and I do something else.
Right.
And I'm like, all right, I have to finish this. Then I start putting just the underwear and the bras away. And I walk away and then I come back and I,
And you're like checking off like little boxes in your head, and that feels good.
right.
Yeah,
So
you're
you
still
took
making progress.
You took the big dopamine that feels good, and you chalked it up. Like
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
I
All right.
separated
All right.
the dopamine piles because I knew that I couldn't do it all in one.
Yeah.
And I know that about myself.
Okay.
So I don't have any pressure of like, oh God, I have to do laundry. It's not overwhelming for me. It's not an overwhelming task.
Yeah, because dude, laundry is daunting. Like you asked me earlier, like, oh, what would it take for what would be the prize or the prize, the reward? I use the word prize. Like what? What is this, Chuck E. Cheese? The reward. What would be the reward of like finishing laundry? And you were like this, and I was like, no. Not even 2 outfits. Like you said 2 outfits. I'm like, not even 2 outfits. Like make
You
me
need a whole new
feel.
wardrobe.
But
like-
to have a reward for it.
Yeah.
But it has to be manageable.
Like, doing the laundry is like, I feel good about it.
That's the reward.
The reward is,
The reward is getting the fuck over it.
wow. Laundry today, guys. Like this is amazing.
Yeah.
I completed my laundry. Even though it took
Yes.
me 4 days.
Because that feels better than any outfit you
feels
could
better
buy.
than the laundry pile.
Yeah.
The laundry piling up. And then having a big pile of laundry. Like that's even worse.
Like for me, the reward is like getting over that stipulation or that like mind fuck or, like I said, exhausted brain. Like, how do we get away from exhausted brains? Right. And I think that you figured out a way to create. Doom only happens because our brains are so exhausted. We don't want to put away these piles of clothes. We don't want to organize the house. We don't want to
do dishes.
do dishes. We don't want to,
Sweep the floors.
we don't want to function right now. Our bodies are so exhausted from our minds. And so then you right now with this, what you're telling me is that There is a way to do things that you have to do without exhausting your mind, without exhausting your body. And you found that, the micropiles helped. And I think that's such a cool like way to fucking think about things, because like the reward for any of this is really, honestly, in my opinion, learning how to cope and learning how to deal with these challenges so that you are just a stronger human fucking being, right?
With ADHD.
With
'Cause
ADHD.
the challenge is like that's expected of us as mothers. Like,
Sure.
we have to do the laundry. We have to cook.
It's expected of wives in general.
From us,
Yeah.
with our brains and the way that we work, it's not something that we should expect. Like having so much pressure on getting presents at a certain time, like or going shopping or going out for Mother's Day and like getting something, holiday related, that expectation that we have on each other,
Yeah.
on ourselves. I lost my train of thought again.
Sorry, it was me. I had to get water. I was
Yeah,
dying.
see, it was the
No, but I think
know.
what you're saying makes a lot of sense
We'll get you
because,
back on. Okay, go.
well, one thing with ADHD is tasks feel very overwhelming, right? Especially tasks that have multiple steps. So they feel so daunting that a lot of times it feels like this huge mountain we have to climb.
Yep.
And that's where we get the paralysis and we shut down. So one of the recommendations for ADHD in general is to break it into small steps, kind of those micro tasks, instead of, I have to schedule this appointment. Okay, what's step one? I have to find the phone number. Step two, get my planner out. Step three, dial the number, right? So then it feels less overwhelming. And you also get more dopamine because with each small step, there's that sense of reward. Oh, I did it. I get to mark it off. Oh, I did this. I get to mark it off.
Yep.
So with you saying that's how you approach organization or household tasks,
Good. It's great.
that makes sense
Yeah, of
because you're
course.
like, instead of saying I have to do the laundry, it's like I just have to do this one step
Part of the laundry.
and then I get a reward for that.
start the laundry. That's like the worst. If my laundry basket can make it to the other side of the house, like that is the reward.
I gotta teach Damien
That's it.
this.
That's the one thing I have to do.
That's
Like,
great.
yes,
No,
need
I
it
love
to
that.
The dry,
Yeah.
to the washer. Yes.
Right.
All right. Let's see if I can get the laundry in the wash in the dryer now.
Right.
That's my
Right.
next. Okay, cool. I did this. Walk away. All right. Now I got to take it out. All right. Let me take it out. And that's what I did. Like, that's how I do laundry.
Yeah.
There's no expectation of me to finish. And I've taught the kids that they do their own laundry.
Ooh, can't wait
So
till I
the
get
kids
there.
are the ones that they do their laundry in the house. I took that task off of me.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with delegating the task and not feeling guilty about it. For the longest time, I'm like, oh, moms should be like doing the kids' laundry. Mom should be putting it away. Like, mom, that's what moms are supposed to do.
But no, I think that brings up a good point because a lot of our expectations of how we have to be as a female, a woman, a mom comes from our own example, right? Like how were we raised, and were we raised with values that this is how I have to be a good mom, a good wife, a good woman, right? And so sometimes we have to deconstruct that a little bit and say, hey, this is my version of motherhood. And I had to do that because I'm not that mom
Right.
that has everything together and is baking at home and cooking meals.
No, but you're so lucky you like own it. Like,
Yeah.
not a lot of people do. And I think that if you're those people right now listening, like these women right now are telling you, like, this is how you overcome those trad wife. That was what I was trying to say earlier. It was trad wife beliefs, right?
Majority of our viewers are probably, they don't like it either.
Right.
Yeah.
We're all, we get it.
Also, like, want to respect the other side. But I would never, I would,
We respect them.
I would just never be that kind of like, for me, I get what you're saying. Like, I'm tied to my tradition and my traditional values are very heavy for me sometimes.
Exactly.
But like you were just going on about like owning it, like just own your own values. You do not have, you have to cut the cord basically with like our old values.
So like I would always be like, oh no, my mom would always do the laundry. And I had a conversation with my mom about the actual laundry. And I remember my 10-year-old daughter, I was teaching her how to do the laundry and she's like crying about it. She was like throwing a fit. She's like, oh, but this is before I didn't know she had ADHD. But she was like, I don't want to do laundry. I'm like, you have to learn to do it. Like I already have this kid coming, you have another baby, like you're just going to have to learn how to do this. And my mom was like crying or like defending her. And she's like, oh my gosh, like that, why are you letting her do this? Like so
I
she
get
was
it.
enabling
Oh God.
everything.
So you have an enabling.
I had to have the enabling parent. Yes. And then I had to fight, overcome that and just say like, I'm teaching my kid how to do her own laundry. She needs to be independent. And I delegated that task. So like now I delegate tasks throughout the house. Like if it's something I can't do, like, hey, can you put the laundry basket over there? Can you put that over there? I delegate it if I feel
That has to feel good.
Yeah,
It
you can
does.
hand things off,
I
right?
can hand
Especially
things off
your
that are
kids are
not like,
capable.
and you just like attach your motherly role
Mhm.
to that so many times that you don't really do.
So would you say like you cut the cord then with that
Yes,
whole belief?
definitely.
And then you were
It's
able
hard.
to like, yeah, of course. Of
A
course.
lot of times, and it takes just
Of
it's like
course.
a muscle you have to exercise.
Create
Yeah.
like a new way of thinking. And
Another form of fucking burnout though. Like you just said, it's another muscle you have to exercise, it's another burnout. Right?
yeah.
That's really cool. I really like that. My hack that I just recently got from doing laundry because I hated it so much. I was like, this will help me. Is I just leave my washer open, and every day I put everything dirty in it.
Ooh, I like that.
I don't know
actually.
why. I just said fuck it. I hate hampers. I hate hampers. I don't know if you guys hate hampers.
It's visual clutter.
They're ugly. They take up space. They smell sometimes.
And it's like shame right in front of you. Like you need to do
also,
your laundry.
it's like an ick to put your hand all the way in and like search for like socks like that are white to do the white.
You
I
never know
don't
what
care
to find.
anymore, by the way. I don't care. I'm mixing them. I'm not separating them. You want to know why laundry gets done? Put away. Boom.
Oh,
If
yeah.
my socks look ugly, okay, I'll donate them and like get new ones. Like they're just socks.
Yeah.
I put all my stuff together. I don't even separate whites and colors out anymore.
No.
It just all goes in one load.
One fucking load, right?
Washed is best.
You've been
Fed is
doing
best.
this? You've been doing this?
Oh my God, forever. Like I don't have time for like
It just-
separating shit out and doing multiple.
I
loads.
tried.
After.
Oh, see? Yeah.
Yeah.
So instead of sitting there and doing the pile, I separate the piles.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's all about the hacks, right? We don't
Yes.
have to fit into some neurotypical norm, some Stefford housewife norm. It's creating a lifestyle that works for you, organizing your home, doing laundry, what you do in your career business. Like you can redefine motherhood, even just your lifestyle. Like you don't have to follow the norm. And I think a lot of us do end up as business owners because we want that flexibility, right? We want to be autonomous.
So to organize.
You mentioned that, with your clientele, a lot of them, are neurodivergent or struggle with organization. So how do you help them, I guess, maintain things? So you come in and you can create all these great systems and help them declutter. And, I'm sure that's quite an overhaul. But then is there a certain thing that you provide for them as far as like, this is how you keep up with it?
So yeah, after I do the full organizing session with them, which includes the decluttering, getting rid of stuff, and we actually have a system, then I can come back periodically.
Oh,
Kind of like a cleaning service, but I can organize.
like a refresher.
I can refresh the organization if they're too busy or they need it reset. I can come back every month, 3 hours to organize, and then or every 4 months.
That's
quarterly.
nice. It's like
And then I
accountability
maintain.
too.
Right. And then I also do body doubling. So like
Oh, yeah.
body double with them so they can complete the task of the organizing or whatever we're working on. We could do that too. So I help them in a lot of ways.
I
That's
love
really
that.
cool.
And sometimes they're ADHD, so they forget to text me. Oh my gosh, I've gone so long without having you. Like, can you come this weekend? Yeah, I try to make it work for them. So I have to also remember that my clients are ADHD. So
So this is your service that you provide, and you go to their house and you help them organize, and you teach them to do the little micro piles,
micro piles of everything. So that's
everything,
Yeah.
clothes,
everything.
chores,
Closets.
closets. I'm doing this on purpose to get the whole list so everyone knows.
So mostly it's garages.
Garages.
There's that one room that has
fuck.
all of stuff that you don't know what to do with because
Is that a guy's thing though? Come on, girls don't do shit in the garage. Do you put shit in the garage?
I do.
I don't
know
fucking touch the
Tell
garage.
me who's with me.
Blech.
I take everything I don't know what to do with, all the Amazon boxes, the decluttering things from the house, and I just put it in the garage. And I'm like, Chris will figure it out. Like I visually have to get it out of my space.
Right.
Okay.
So
There's
I
that
will,
one room.
right? Like I'll
Yeah.
like probably once a week get like trash bags and just like go around and like put stuff in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't take the stuff anymore. And then I'll put it in there. Even with the kids' toys, you guys, like when they're at school, like I'm like, oh, they haven't played with this for a while. They don't even.
This is my mom used to do
I
this.
put it in a bag and I'm like, let's see if within the month they ask for it. And if they don't, it's like, okay, then they're over it and then we'll donate it.
Yeah.
So you declutter.
Yeah.
Once a month we take stuff to Goodwill and it is like the biggest high of my
Yeah.
life,
It is a high.
right? You
that's what I
feel
do.
so
I help
euphoric.
people declutter.
Mhm.
Like, and sometimes they go years without decluttering. They don't even know what to
gosh.
do because they don't declutter out periodically and monthly.
No,
I think it's really overwhelming.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have to declutter. It's like shedding skin. It's like cutting off like dead ends. I'm like, get this shit out of my house.
No, that's a really good way to visualize it.
Right?
It's just kind of,
like,
you know what it is also? What we found is like visual clutter creates mental clutter. So it's like it's a form of overstimulation. Like visually, if you look around and there's a lot of piles and kind of disarray and disorganization, that creates anxiety and kind of this mental load of stress and to do. So you're actually helping people so much with their mental health with what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
I get to help them all the time. So
Yeah, that's amazing. I love the fact that you have the initial service where you come in and help them declutter, sort through things, create a system, but you also have the follow up because I think that's really helpful. A lot of times we can maintain something for a certain period of time, but then we get off track. And it's like therapy and coaching. Like sometimes you just have that maintenance mode where, okay, change my oil, like rotate my tires, just kind of that little refresh, and it helps you stay accountable.
yeah.
Because it's so hard for us to like remember those things or stay accountable to ourselves sometimes, right?
Yeah. And it's even harder when the ADHDer is trying to transition into another period of their life, like having a child or getting divorced or those kinds of difficult transitions. I help them through those processes. So I have like a client that has ADHD, but they recently were divorced and they separated. So I was in one house helping him organize his home, his ADHD brain. And I was in the other house helping her organize and like creating order in the house, even after something.
Wow.
So I do that with a lot of my clients that, there was a death in the family and then all of a sudden they had to move out and they're now in this, they're in burnout. Their entire life is in burnout, every single room. And so.
Is that how like hoarding like starts? Like are
So
people who hoard ADHDers?
No, so it's very similar. So the difference is the people that hoard, they're not able to let go of the things. They have a hard time letting go of, they're very, very sentimental to the items. And people with ADHD, they don't let go of it because they don't know how much they have.
It's the overwhelm.
It's the overwhelm of the decision making, but they're able to make those decisions. It's not so much mental like attachment. So that's the difference.
Yeah, but I can see now all those different life circumstances. Like I didn't even think about that. Like divorce, or I know you did like a one for like a baby coming, right? Like postpartum, like kind of getting everything ready for when the baby comes home. You think about all those life transitions and how overwhelming that is for us in general. But then you add on like the logistics of like, okay, you have to restructure the house or create a different room or redo the space.
Right.
Like that is just like a whole nother level. So if you can like take that load off someone,
Yes.
that probably just helps them with their grief or their trauma or whatever transition they're going through. It just makes it so much lighter, right?
Yeah. So that's why I get to sit with people's transitions and their traumas in their life. And I'm actually like a therapist when I go in, like a coach.
Yeah.
One of my clients is like introduced me as his ADHD coach.
Yeah, no, it
because
really is. Yeah.
I was sitting there with him, listening to him, and like he was going through so much, and just sitting there listening to him and helping him organize and create order when there wasn't. It was just rewarding, such a good feeling. But that's how I found out I had ADHD. I didn't know that I had it. And so I quit my job and went straight into organizing. And then a few months later, I'm like, oh, these people are similar to me. Like I have a lot of these traits. And then I took an assessment and said, you're ADHD. And I'm like, my whole life I'm ADHD and I'm organizing for people. And there would be a few comments sometimes made about like, how do you have ADHD and you're an organizer?
Yeah, it seems like a paradox,
Because it
right?
contradicts each other. But I mastered how to declutter, how to get rid of stuff, how to keep things, how to let it go. And because I mastered that, now I go into people's homes and teach them
That's cool.
how to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's fun. I have hundreds of clients. I love them. Like we're even friends, you know what I mean? You're close to your clients.
Yeah.
And
You give a little piece of you and you do
I
that.
give a little piece of me and they take a little piece with them. Like certain things that they give away, if they have some items, it's like I always have some part of them that reminds me of their story or something like that.
That's a great thing.
This is actually a shirt somebody gave me.
Well, I love that. It's so
She's
cute.
like, do you want this shirt? I'm like, yes. So when I'm organizing closets, I get to sit there and like hear their story, hear what they're talking about. Like, oh, I wore this dress at this time, or I did this. This is my favorite necklace, anything,
Wow.
I get to sit there and then they're like, oh, do you want this? Yeah. That reminds me of them. So
It's such a cool bond to
it's a really cool,
sit with
it's so
someone.
cool to just sit there with people. And that's how I change people's lives.
Wow. I feel like it's so similar to the work that I do as a therapist, where we're working through like all their mental challenges and helping them restructure their cognitive process. It's like you're helping them restructure their physical environment, but at the same time that impacts their mental health. So
Exactly.
just sitting with someone, holding that space, allowing them to be vulnerable, And I feel like going into someone's home is like the most vulnerable thing.
It is.
Like
Oh,
to
yeah.
just like allow someone into your home, and these are things that I'm sure they're very shameful or embarrassed about. Like if they have closets or rooms or things that are chaos, their garage, like to let you in and to like show you that and say, I need help. Like what like a vulnerable place to be, right?
And when they are very vulnerable with me, I just feel like grateful, like that they called me, that I get to be the one to sit there with their vulnerability. It's like they're like exposing themselves, and it's like I have to trust you that this is going to be okay at the end of this. So I always reassure them that I'm not going to make them get rid of anything they don't want to get rid of. That I won't throw anything away. If something gets overwhelming, to just let me know. We can like take a mini break, or if they can't make a decision on a certain item, then I go and replace it for something easier for them to get rid of. So I explain the process and the steps throughout the whole session, so they're not so like
Attached.
and then they're like, okay, I trust you now. See, it's kind of like going to the dentist. They're like digging in there and you got to find out, and then it's like surgery.
So there's like a cancer in your house and it's your clutter.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, clutter
Got
cancer.
it. Hey, I get it.
Yeah.
I have stuff that like I should probably throw away and I don't. And there's a lot of like emotional reasons sometimes behind it, or sometimes it's just like I'm cheap. I don't want to fucking throw that away. It was expensive. That happens a lot to me in the salon, because we buy like a lot of color lines. And then like if we decide like, oh, we don't like that color line, then all that product just sits on our shelf. And, it's like I want to throw it away, but I also don't, because it's like expensive and I need it maybe, but not really.
It's like one day
It's frugal. It's not an emotional thing. I don't care. I'm not attached to this emotionally, but I'm just being frugal. Like I don't want to throw that away. It's like $300 worth of color. Like I'm not throwing that away. I said a lot at the salon. It's annoying.
Well, it's that guilt again too, right? It's like, well, I can't waste this. And I think that's probably another part of the blockage of not wanting to be wasteful. Like, well, what if one day I decide to take baking up? We're talking about like having an expensive mixer, or, what if I, especially with clothing and women and their body changing, what if one day I'm this size again, or I lose weight, I gain weight, like, or, I get back into this.
Is that frugal or emotional though? That feels emotional to me.
Well, yeah, it can transition to that.
Frugal.
But, well, what I'm saying is, but like then you don't have to rebuy everything, right?
Okay, like that, but also like I'm trying to think of like another like good way. Like
I think also a good thing is to donate the things to somewhere you think like it's going to be important.
I'm too frugal to donate color though. It's like, oh, I could donate it to the hair school, but
are you gonna ever use it?
But are you gonna ever use it?
And
are you okay with it being in your space? If it bothers you in your space,
why does it bother me? Like why would
like
clutter bother somebody?
Something that you bought or saw, or like you think of, oh my gosh, I'm never going to use this. It's just sitting there. If it's not bothering you in that space, then it's okay to leave it there.
Really?
Yeah. If it doesn't bother you.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean,
okay.
If it doesn't trigger you, like I was saying, how for me personally, like clutter, like if I look around and there's something that I don't need or feels like it's out of place, like it creates this internal like cringe and angst, and I just can't. Like I have to have everything in its place, and I can't have clutter. And going back to laundry too, like visually, if I have a basket of laundry, I will put it there on the fireplace, and it will give me such an ick just walking by it all the time that the reward is to remove that clutter. So I think just understanding, like, especially with ADHD, like with things around that can create anxiety or overwhelm. And so if you can reduce that, your mental load is going to feel lighter.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, that does. Yeah.
Even my workspace, like I feel like I can't even start working or be productive until everything is like
ready to go.
Organized, clean, or set up, right? Like I can't work in a messy desk.
I think it just tires your eyes.
Yes, that's part
again,
of it too.
Exhausted brain. Like there's an exhausted brain in your head. The head is connected to the eyes. I'm sure like just seeing, you probably don't even know what the clutter is, but you see it there, it bothers you.
So it's in the background.
That's what I was saying, is if it doesn't bother you. But if it's clutter that's taking up space and you know that you're not going to use it, you don't want it, but you also don't want to get rid of it, just get it out of the space.
Into the trash can.
No, you don't even have to put it in trash.
But where am I putting it?
Find a space in your house.
Oh, fuck no.
Put it under your bed. Like that's, I believe in, like, you need to just have organization in different ways for ADHD people.
That's good. I get that.
And then you can use that space for something else.
Sometimes though, I just really feel like the only solution is really to get rid of all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
But like, the frugal is what stops me. There's no reason for that. I don't need it. I don't know.
And also like stopping yourself from buying things too. before you have to like feel the guilt.
I'm
What do I do?
learning.
Is
I'm learning that.
do I really need this? Am I going to be okay if I spent this money and I have to return it, or I'm going to feel bad about it
Return
2
queen.
days later?
That's right.
Return queen, yeah.
It's funny because that works for my husband. Like we would go shopping and he would like put a bunch of things like physically in the cart. Like let's say we're at Target or wherever, and he put all in the cart, or like if we were clothes shopping, and then we get to the checkout and he's like, actually, I think I'm okay. And he put all back, and I was always like, what is happening?
what I
Who
do.
is this? Like I could never. And like, even when you were talking about the Amazon cart, like just putting it in the cart, to me, that doesn't give me enough dopamine. So I think that also shows that sometimes even when you have ADHD, like different hacks work for different people. Like for me, like I have to buy something to get the dopamine. But for other people, I've heard that if you just put it in the cart and you take it out or you don't buy it, like that's enough dopamine for you. But for you, maybe 2 outfits is not enough dopamine for laundry, right?
Not enough reward.
You can try to even put it in your cart.
Yeah.
But then only get 1 or 2 items. Don't get everything. Get the little dopamine of, I just got this item.
So like going back to that, I think it's the tunnel vision that we get. Like my therapist and I were really having a long session about like the tunnel vision.
Yes.
And it like really freaked me out because I never realized that tunnel vision had such a grip. I kind of like when she said the word tunnel vision, I had this like really deep, dark feeling like that came over me. And I was like, tunnel vision is like what mind grips me. I have an exhausted little brain. And then this like tunnel vision like takes the brain and pulls it, right? And it's horrible because like I will overspend because I get tunnel vision that I need to buy a whole new thing for my living room or right, like a whole new bedroom sets. I went through a period of 5 bedroom sets in 1 year. Who does that? Nobody normal does that. I'm sorry to say it that way, but we do it. Of course.
That once you understand that you have that behavior.
Yeah, I know, right.
Then you can break it by saying, okay, I really don't need 3 this year. I can do 2.
But I'm realizing
still doing it.
that behavior happens physically. It manifests itself as tunnel vision. Like I cannot see anything else. I can't watch TV without looking at the bedroom sets. I can't.
I know what
you know what I mean? I
It's like
can't
all you can
change.
see and think about.
Yes.
Yeah.
The tunnel vision.
But we have so much guilt about ourselves and how we feel that we put too much pressure. Like, oh my God, I'm so weird. I always have to do this and I have to buy this and this is who I am. And now, I'm financial wreck. Like I can't save money. I'm spending like all these things.
Yeah.
But we have to know that we accept that about ourselves first.
Can you accept something and still be disappointed in it?
Yes. You can have multiple emotions about something, and
I love how you said that together.
Yes, absolutely. But it's so important because people don't understand that.
Yeah.
Even with your diagnosis, right? Getting ADHD, you're allowed to have all the emotions. There might be kind of this liberation and release and understanding, curiosity, but also maybe frustration, anger, like just being pissed, right? Like, why me? Why does life have to be so hard? But I also have all these great strengths and superpowers. So like just a knowing that you can feel different feelings about one thing. You don't have to just like pick something. So with the tunnel vision, I think it's a strength and a weakness. It's a strength because when we get tunnel vision, it's because our brain is getting dopamine from a thought or an idea, and we can get so fixated on something. That's how we are innovative and creative and create these amazing ideas and, execute things because we get so focused on something. It's like this sixth sense or superpower, right? Like we can think about things in ways that neurotypicals can't because we can tune everything else out. Our bladder, our hunger, our physical discomfort, all the other noises. Like when our brain's like, yes, this is giving me dopamine, let's do this. Nothing else matters. At the same time, when it's inconvenient or it's not something we want to think about, then it's really hard because we can't pull away, or it's hard to diffuse from that thought because our brain is like on the hunt for that dopamine.
Yeah.
And it's almost like, it's like this little carrot dangling and we're like, nope. But it's just so tempting.
No. We're just like, go.
I just want the carrot. I want the dopamine. I want the hit. So,
and then you have to explain.
But that's the tunnel vision. Tunnel vision is having like a need for the speed.
yes. It's like, that's what your brain wants.
I
And
think
that's all
we're
your brain
prone
wants.
to being addicts because of that. Or a shopaholic is cute. Look, shopaholicism sounds so fucking cute, but it's dark, dude. It's not a good thing. You probably people who shop a lot, that they actually don't even wear half the stuff in their closet, right?
Like they haven't returned it, right?
No, what about people with like clothes that they buy and it has a price tag and it's just sitting there because like they thought they were going to like it, but then they didn't like it and it's just sitting there.
Right.
Right?
For me, like back in the day when I used to shop all the time in person, like I'd go to the mall, I was the return queen. Like every week I would have my impulse shopping spree.
I love a return queen.
What's the definition of that?
Okay, I just
The queen of returning.
so
All the shit.
okay, let me break it down.
Uh-huh.
So I would go shopping, spend a bunch of money to get my dopamine hit, right?
Yeah.
Like all the things, all the dopamine, all the impulse buys. But then I would get home, be like, fuck, I don't need all this shit. And I don't like how this stuff looks.
Okay.
So then I would have all the stuff in my car. And then like I would go back the next week and return it all and do it all again. You guys never did that?
Yeah.
No, I do it like at one time. Like,
Well, I don't do it anymore, but like now it's just Amazon. Like that's my new thing. But it's like the dopamine of buying something. And then it's like 3 a.m. in the morning and you're just like ordering a bunch of stuff. And then the next day you're like, what the fuck did I do? Right. And then you're like, I don't really need all this. Or you have like the financial guilt of, I don't really have enough money for this.
It's buyer's regret, but ADHD.
Right.
Yes.
you can do for that is actually before you check out,
Mhm.
don't buy the stuff.
But
But
Leave it in your cart.
I don't get dopamine. How am I?
You get the dopamine of putting it in your cart. Anything you want,
try it.
just put
Really?
it.
It's really hard.
Shop for clothes.
Yeah, no, try it.
And
You've
then
done for like,
easily get distracted, walk away for a few hours,
Yep.
and I bet you're going to go back and rethink every item. And
unless your tunnel vision's super strong.
Unless I really see me hit.
You're like, I need the hat. I need the hat.
That's my hit. That's my hit. No.
the hit is add to cart, add to cart. Don't
Add to
put it in
cart,
cart.
okay.
So go do something else.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So I think also some people may avoid returning things
Me.
because of the anxiety of having to interact with a
Ugh.
customer service person. Why are you returning this? What's wrong with it? Why did you
I'm
buy
not a
it?
Karen. I'm not a Karen. I promise.
You guys ever watch King of Queens?
Oh my God. On a long time. If you even get a memory out of this about kings
Okay.
and queens, it'll be a miracle.
The elder millennials will know what I'm talking about. So Carrie, there was an episode where she wanted to buy all these expensive designer outfits, but they didn't have enough money. So what she would do is she would go and spend thousands of dollars on these like fancy clothes. And then like they would all have certain return policies. And she turned like their whole office into like this, like basically like warehouse where she would then like have like the dates she'd have to return everything. And that became her like little fixation for a while. You kind of get the dopamine, you get to wear the outfit for a little bit, and then she'd return it and she'd just keep the tag on.
I remember that now. Oh my God.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
You know, also like our sometimes unhealthy habits where we like are craving that dopamine in the wrong places. Shopping. I mean, there's just so many different types of addictive behaviors we can fall into because we want that quick hit and we're not thinking about the consequence, right?
Crazy question. Another one. I'm sorry. I can't stop.
Okay, go ahead.
Because closets are like my thing, guys. Like I'm a shopaholic, dude. I like,
Okay, ask me.
okay.
You take a tour of your closet one day.
Not mine?
Just come help you.
No, not yet. I'm not ready.
See?
She's not in the contemplation stage yet. Or the
So what happens is people have to be ready when something happens in their life, and they have to just they have to deal with it.
Can I just tell you what I am? I'm a flight closet person. I've done it twice in my life. What is that, Susie? Well, I'll tell you.
I love that we're learning all these terms.
the question?
The question is like, how do you, well, I'll get back to the question. I have to tell you what,
Don't forget the question.
I will not. But a flight closet is when you break up with somebody or you decide to move out of your parents' house or you decide to leave a roommate and it's not good, right? Like you're leaving your roommate because like it wasn't working and you don't even take most of your things. You just like go. Like you ghost your stuff. You ghost your house, your roommate, and your shit.
You
Have you
start
ever
all
done
over.
that? Am I the only one? That's what I call a flight closet.
No. I think it
Do I start all over? Yes. And I start all over with like more intention.
Ooh.
But it's weird that I've done that, right? But,
Not weird
No.
because it makes sense.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of things involved in that. Sometimes it is the kind of that flight of I got to get out of here. This is not safe. I don't care. I'm just going to go.
Mhm.
I think it's also the overwhelm of like, I don't even know how to pack this or take this with me or sort through it. So I'm just going to ditch it all. And that's what like paralysis is with executive dysfunction. Like I can't even comprehend how to approach this, where to start, how to prioritize. So I'm just going to
Stuff it in a
leave.
box.
I'm going to run away from it and start all over again because that's easier than having to deal with this shit. Right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's what's happening. So
Yeah.
it's easier. I mean, think about it. It's easier to walk away from a relationship or ghost someone. It's easier to just like abandon a job or leave a goal because it's too hard than deal with it. So I think a lot of us do that and
different areas of our life. We just kind of abandon ship, or we are paralyzed because it's too hard. Right?
Yeah, it really sucks, dude. I have so many cool shoes that I've left behind. And I think about them being worn by like another person that now lives there, right? Like, oh, not those Pradas.
Okay, we're
No.
gonna start a campaign. Send Susie's shoes back. If you have her shoes, send them back.
If you haven't burned all my shit,
Yes.
send it back.
We need her shoes back.
So now I'm curious what your closet looks like.
My closet looks. This summer, at the beginning of the summer, I categorized my closet by two things. One side was everything Free People and Urban Outfitters vibe. And the other side was like goth and like dark girl / like dark designer, or,
Edgy.
yeah, stuff. And it was like two sides of my closet. They had both like
Ooh, different aesthetics.
aesthetic / feelings. Like, how do I want to feel? Do I want to feel like a hippie? I'm going to the Free People place. If I want to feel dark and edgy, I'm going to the dark girl closet.
I'm mind blown right now.
Is it? Oh, okay. Another thing I thought, I was like,
She's like, what?
No, because the overwhelm and decision fatigue of like trying to figure out what to wear and what the vibe is and where it is, and that the object permanence issue where it's like out of sight, out of mind.
Yes.
Like if you have it almost like merchandise in that way, where like here's
Exactly.
like my goth girl vibe, here's my like hippie like earth mom vibe, and it's like all in sections. Like that would be so much easier to put an outfit together.
it
Right?
would be.
That's how I sort my clothes, just like how she.
Oh my God, you're into it. Oh, you got a new ADHD project on your mind. It's great.
So you sort the things like
Okay.
dressy shirts or dresses, and then you can pants, my gym pants, like however you want to sort your clothes by what your go-to is. I have jackets together and all these things.
But it doesn't have to make sense to anyone else but you.
Yeah.
That's like the
Yeah.
point of just organization for ADHD in general. Like it doesn't have to fit any box or any structure. Like someone can walk in and be like, what the hell? Like, why is all this stuff together? And you're like, it makes sense to me in my mind.
Yeah, your shoes could be in the kitchen if you want them to.
Yeah. I
It
love
makes
it.
sense. Like, I had a mom that had her kids' hair ties and things like that in the kitchen
Okay.
because that's where she did her hair.
Like before
I
they
actually have heard of that.
Yeah.
So they do their hair. So I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, that should be in the bathroom. But then I remember, like, this is my client, this is their home, and it's not about me. And that's how I'm able to work with them. It's like I have learned to get myself out of the situation and see what's best for them. Like, what makes sense? Okay, where do you take off your shoes? Okay, so then if you're over there, then we need to make sure the shoes are over there. So I organize based on their behaviors.
And that's going to make it more fluid
For
and
them.
easier for them to keep up with because it kind of fits into their routine or their flow of their day. So they're not like having to do the extra steps to go out of their way. Because that's the thing with ADHD too. If it's too complicated and it doesn't go with their flow and like the hamper is in the wrong room or there's not one in that room, it's going to
Or there's a hamper at all.
Yeah. Or like if you're anti-hamper,
Or
do what Susie says.
anti-hanging. If you don't want to hang, but you are, some people want to hang their clothes, some people don't. Some people want to fold them.
I'm a hanger-upper.
I have to visually see it.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing I've learned. Although it's more work and effort for me to hang things, I've done the whole drawer
It
thing.
feels so good to go through your hangers.
It does. And I can't really see what I have and I can't keep up with what's her name? The folding technique where you like
No, that does not
Marie
work.
Kondo or whatever.
We're
Like,
Marie Kondo over here, girl.
so I can't. I tried. During COVID, I
No-fold
tried.
System. That's what it's called.
What is it?
The no fold system.
No fold
What does it
system?
look like?
You don't fold anything. You just
Throw it in?
throw it in your.
Sounds like my whole life though. I mean,
You could definitely be that person. I happen to not be that person. If things are not folded nicely, I refold everything.
what?
Yes. Which is,
Interesting.
yeah.
Isn't it interesting how we all have our little quirks? Like
It's
certain
an
things-
ick. It
so-
will turn into a pile.
Right. So that's why when I work with ADHD clients, they're not the same. It's not just a general
We're all different.
I'm going to organize and put all these cute things together for you. But it doesn't, if you're not going to get the behavior of putting it where it goes, then there's no point of making it fancy and like that. So that's
Not massaging the eyes. That's what I say about visual pleasing things. It's a massage for your eyes, which massages your brain. And this motherfucker's tired.
Yes.
So-
all the feel goods. We need
Yeah.
massages.
So awesome. Mind Wellness by Closet Organizing, which is not just closet organizing. It's more than that. And organizing is more than just organizing.
Yeah.
It's really just learning how to get out of that tunnel vision, learning how to like break free from the things that hold us down and just like soften the mind.
And changing the behaviors and adapting to behaviors and routines and systems. That's where I come in, and I, whatever space overwhelms you the most is where I'm at. That's what I ask my clients, is what's the space that overwhelms you?
Oh, I like that.
They say the entire house. Sometimes it's the entire house. Sometimes it's one room. Sometimes it's the kitchen. Sometimes it's this garage. So depending on the space, that's where we work on, okay, let's focus on this space, then we can focus on this one later. We'll schedule another session for the other part of the house, or let's do half of this and half of this later. So yeah,
Makes it more manageable. And
it's very manageable.
I mean, it really checks all the boxes when you think about executive functioning, right? Like you're helping them organize, create systems and structure so that they can then prioritize what they need to do, creates kind of this routine. It could probably help them with time management too, because if things are easier to find or put away, then the morning's not going to be so chaotic, or your evening routine is not going to be so stressful because things are put in their place and everything has a home. So overall, it just is going to make your life so much easier to have an organized living environment. And also, like, that's our escape. That's our oasis. Like after working all day and being overstimulated, we want like a safe, pleasing place to go to that feels safe, comfortable, and not even more overstimulating to kind of add to that tired brain, right?
But imagine all the moms that are coming home and they don't have that. They don't have a system in place. They don't have a place to have peace and have a safe place to, I need to decompress here now. Now you go into the space and you're even more overwhelmed because you're like, oh, I got to do laundry. I got to cook the dishes where I can't find anything. Then you add that mental stress.
Yeah.
So that's why we work on one space at a time.
No, I love that. So in your experience thus far with being a mom with ADHD and a business owner, what would be maybe 2 or 3 things that you've learned that have helped you be like the most effective with everything?
Number 1 is having grace for myself.
Ooh, yeah, the big one.
Just knowing that I'm not going to get it right like every time, and that, my clients are going to go through things, and I have to, there's going to be a lot of times where you're going to have to do things you don't want to do too.
Yeah, that's so hard, right?
Yes.
Like knowing that sometimes it's easier to push yourself through that wall, and sometimes you just can't. And so I think that's where the grace comes in, right? Like even with all the tools and treatment and everything in the world, like there still are going to be days where you show up and your functioning is going to be lower and things are just harder, and that's okay, right?
Yeah, just knowing that things are going to be okay, or just having grace for myself in that situation. I would say also number 2 would be being exposed to like so many different people and households and experiences, and getting to see how they live and getting to see what's relatable to them, what's relatable to me, knowing that like other people are just like me.
Yeah, that relatability.
There's so much of it when I go into the homes, and that's what also opens my mind to say like, okay, like, wow, I really don't have it that bad, or wow, like they're able to do this and I'm not. So I learn from them just like they learn from me. So I get to go into my space and be like, oh, I can try that. I've never tried that system before. So that's why I'm so well versed with different organizing systems, because I've seen it all. So
yeah, so you can learn from your clients, and then they can also learn from you. And I think that's the cool thing about being in this space, with my, therapy and coaching practice. Like every day, I feel like I get so much out of helping others with ADHD and learn so much from them as much as they learn from me. So that's a cool thing with the work that we do, right? Like we are like supporting the neurodivergent community with our profession, our expertise, but also we're getting that back by just that connection and being able to see how they manage things in their life. Like even today, like we were all talking about different ways that we cope or manage life, and it was just so interesting. It's like, oh, I've never thought of that, or I don't do it that way, but that works for you. So I think that's the cool thing about this community.
Yeah, that I can relate to them, they can relate to me, and they help me just as much as I help them. So it helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
So number 1, number 2, and number 3. What's the third thing?
Wow, you remembered what number we're on. I'm impressed. Because I was like, what, 1, 2, 3. What was the question? Oh, so yeah, just like, kind of takeaways, like learning opportunities, like what are those things that you've really been able to, I guess, execute in your life now that you have your diagnosis and you've been working with neurodivergent people?
I think also learning. Number 3 would be learning all of the things that are happening to me, so I can advocate for myself. I can advocate for my clients. I can say, this is what's happening to you. Like it's not that you're lazy. It's not that you're messy. Your brain is on overload, and helping them understand what's going through their brain and helping them like make decisions that are going to be healthy for them as well and for myself. So I think just learning, the more you learn about your diagnosis or why you react, knowing that you're going to be oversensitive, knowing that you're going to be impulsive, knowing that you're going to have meltdowns, just learning all of that already from the first hand is like helpful when you go into other parts of your life. Because, and you can advocate for yourself too. Now you can be like, hey, I know that I'm going to rearrange the furniture in 6 months. I know that I'm going to repaint the house, that is something that I'm going to do. And just owning that that's who you are and not being ashamed of it and just going for it, that's helped too.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
So Grace, understanding that everyone's different and everyone manages their ADHD different, but you can kind of learn from each other. And then like that learning process of like self-awareness, like understanding your habits, understanding your brain and your neurology, accepting it, learning things that help and that don't help. And, we can all learn from each other. And I think that brings us back to why we started this podcast in the first place. Like, you are not alone. You're not too much. This is something that so many of us are struggling with in different ways, but also similar. And that's why we're here. We want you guys to know that we're here for you. We want to support you. We all have different backgrounds as far as our career and our business, but we still have that goal of bringing people together and building that community.
That's right.
Yeah, I brought it
Thank
home.
you.
Brought it home.
Well, it's nice to meet you and have you on here. We hope to see you back on here again.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yes, thank you for kickstarting our new series. I think this was such a treat to have you on. And I think you're just such a great example of a strong woman and mom with ADHD that has been able to thrive in life, business, motherhood, but also someone that is authentic and has that grace and compassion. Like, that's a hard combo to find. So you are so valued in this community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.